Game Week 9 is here and I am making 4 free transfers. Yes, it is a transfer extravaganza for me and I cannot wait to lock in for FPL Game Week 9. Yes, guys, Game Week 8 was a pretty good week for me with the 85 points and a lovely green arrow. It was a bench boost week for me, and I think there will be perhaps some debate on whether this was a good or a bad bench boost. I think for a single Game Week bench boost, to get that 9-pointer from Dubravka, 2 points Senesi, 2 points Stack, it is a pretty decent bench boost. I think that is absolutely fine for me. Romero, with the injury during the warm-up, was perhaps a little bit lucky, and I think maybe the bench boost would look better if I benched my 4 million Alderete, but I actually liked Alderete more than my other defenders, so I made the right call in starting him, and I think I would have been kind of false to myself if I included Alderete among my bench boost points, because I was always going to play him. So yeah, looking at that bench boost, I think I am pretty happy with the result, even though I'm sure you've seen some bench boosts that maybe look a bit better. 85 points and halving my rank is something I am not going to complain about at all. I really think we are going very strong this FPL season, particularly as I do have 5 free transfers now to use in Game Week 9. I'm not going to use all of them, but I am going to use 4 of them. So yeah, things are looking good. I think we're set up really well. I think things are going really well. I'm feeling super optimistic about this season now, which is yeah, a nice position to be in. And if you're feeling optimistic too, you want to share in the joy, make sure you drop a like on the video for some good karma going into Game Week 9, and feel free to subscribe if you want to follow along with my moves every single game week. But Game Week 9 is here. 5 free transfers, 1.2 in the bank. Let's go crazy with them. And I should say, guys, I have already actually made 2 transfers already, with another 2 planned. I needed to think about them a little bit more, but I think I know what I'm doing now, which I'm very happy about. I only really figured it out properly today, exactly what I will be doing. So looking forward to sharing that with you. And I think today, guys, I'm going to throw a lot of players on screen very, very quickly, because I want to spend a decent amount of time today talking about those transfers and the justification behind them, because I think particularly one of the players you're going to be like, what, Dan? Why are you bringing in that player? That is so random. It's not. There is a method behind the madness. So let's go, guys. Let's start off with our goalkeeper. That is going to be Raya against Crystal Palace. Arsenal, the best defence in the Premier League by some margin. 9 clean sheets in 12 games in all competitions. That does suggest to us that every game is an opportunity for a clean sheet. And Crystal Palace, whilst they are a decent side, they're not so good that you would be fearful of Arsenal losing their clean sheet, which is why we're more than happy to double up with Gabriel. I do think the double Arsenal defence is the way forward right now. I don't think there's going to be too many question marks around that one. Double Arsenal defence really coming through at the moment. And Gabriel, with his goal threat from those set pieces, with his defensive contributions looking really strong every single week, always having a chance to get those points too. He's an absolute machine at the moment. I think Gabriel is just that clear best defender to have in the game right now, isn't he? We have got Romero in defense here as well, and I really don't have too much of a choice but to be starting him at the moment. Thankfully, we do have free transfers to try and resolve my defense situation, because as you're soon going to see, guys, Romero is not the only defender I have that's unavailable for this game week. And we do have Senesi in defense here as well against Nottingham Forest at home. And I think that is a really nice opportunity for a clean sheet. Forest not really firing on all cylinders at the moment. Senesi playing for a strong Bournemouth defense with, of course, as we know, the insane DEFCON potential that he shows and proves every single week without fail. He is just so good in that regard. So Romero probably out. Gabriel, Raya, Senesi, pretty happy with these guys. Let's have a look at the clean sheet odds for this game week, and you can see that despite that Crystal Palace fixture, Arsenal 44% chance of a clean sheet in this game. So Mateta owners, Saar owners, look away now, because Arsenal are it looks like the markets are projecting them to continue this great form. So shout out to Rob T for these numbers here taken from the markets. Chelsea in second place here, 43% chance of a clean sheet against Sunderland. We've actually got Wolves in third place, and then you're looking at the likes of Newcastle, Leeds, and Bournemouth, who we do indeed have a player from in Senesi for clean sheets. Maybe Man City, Everton, Liverpool look okay, but Really, it's those top 6 teams I'm really looking at for the kind of players you want to be playing, the kind of players you want to be starting this week. Maybe there are some other players you might have as well. But yeah, looking strong for the double Arsenal defence in the immediate term. Looking at the projected goals here, that is actually Chelsea with the highest projected goals. And I do want to go into this in a little bit more detail in a moment's time. But I want to throw some more players on the pitch first of all, before we talk about that one. So let's go into midfield, guys. We've got Bruno Fernandes. I think maybe do people like Bruno this week? It seems to change every single game week. One week, yes, Bruno's a great pick. The next week, no, Bruno's a terrible pick. You must sell him. I'm pretty happy with him at the moment. Nice return against Liverpool with the assist. Of course, he will always get bonus points if he returns because he is so involved in every game that he plays. And we've got a nice fixture run here for Manchester United now. So there's really no need to panic on someone like Bruno Fernandes. He could just be held in your team, secure for minutes, set pieces, confirmed to be on penalties going forward as well, which is good to know. And yeah, I think there's going to be a few more returns for not just him, but maybe a few of the other Man United players too, as they do seem to have captured a little bit of form over the last few weeks. So things are looking a bit better for Manchester United. As for Semenyo at Nottingham Forest, the fixtures do get a little bit mixed in the upcoming weeks, but we've got Forest this week, which is a really nice opportunity. Now, I should say that Nottingham Forest do have a new manager. That is going to be Sean Dyche, and if we know anything about Sean Dyche, it is that he is a manager who improves the team's defense but doesn't really improve their attack. So actually, this fixture is now maybe slightly more tilted towards, Senesi doing well than Semenyo doing well. This is going to be a little bit tougher for Semenyo. If we are going to see a defensive Sean Dyche team from Nottingham Forest. Now, of course, it's probably going to take a couple of weeks to get the methodology in for Forest before they do become defensive monsters. But yeah, I think that just has damaged Semenyo in this fixture just a little bit, and is probably enough to persuade us away from maybe captaining Semenyo or anything like that. Kudus is the next player in my team. Disappointing last game week. He did have a goal disallowed, to be fair, and got the assist of an assist with a phenomenal cross. But the fixtures are kind of very average now for the next 3 game weeks. And then we have Arsenal in game week. What is that? Game week 12. So, wait, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 12. So, Kudus is not going to be a player in my team long term. He needs to be gone by game week 12, in my opinion. I'm kind of on the fence on, Everton, Chelsea, Manchester United. I'm not sure if these are good or bad fixtures. I feel like on paper they don't look great, but these are all teams that are conceding chances at the moment. Can Kudus, on those set pieces, still performing very well. He looks great. He looks like Spurs' best attacker, although Spurs maybe haven't looked incredible in attack. Kudus is the standout player in that team. So I'm kind of really a little maybe confused about Kudus right now. Do I like him going forwards? Do I feel like he is a player that could be sacrificed? He's certainly not a must sell, but if, an opportunity comes up, I would be willing to sell Kudus at the right moment for the right player. We've got Reinders here as well, and he's a player who I am not impressed with very much at all. Fixtures looking much poorer. A pre-60-minute substitute last game week, on the bench in the midweek. I think we're just going to see more and more rotation for Reinders as we see more really attacking players from Man City come back and become available. But also, we've got Nico Gonzalez and Rodri now out injured. So Reinders is either going to play as a defensive midfielder, or Pep might say, okay, actually, we need, maybe 2 more defensive players in the holding roles here to try and compensate for the fact we don't have any, true defensive midfielder. So I think Reinders is actually, minutes risk. Fixtures don't look great. Underlying numbers terrible. What's there to like about him anymore? No offense, Reinders. Sure, you're a lovely guy. But for my FPL team, I've got to think with my head here. And we got Stack, another massively disappointing player. He's getting substituted off earlier. He has lost set pieces. To Longstaff a little bit as well, we've seen. So there are some genuine concerns around Stack as well. Less minutes, less set pieces. He's not getting defensive contributions anymore. So Reinders and Stack, maybe mistakes for me to include in my wild card in the first place, but again, players that I want to resolve. And when you have 5 free transfers, you can look at the fixtures, you can say, oh, it's not a priority move, or you can say, listen, I'm not happy with some of my players. I have the opportunity to fix it, so I'm going to fix it. And that's exactly what I'm thinking this week. More to come on the transfers very soon. So looking at the forwards, Erling Haaland, nothing needs to be said about him. I don't care how bad his fixtures are. His performances are so good. He's going to score no matter what. And finally, in the starting 11 for now, before transfers, we have got Joao Pedro against Sunderland. And I know what people will be saying. They'll be saying, Joao Pedro, he is terrible. You know, nothing's ever going to happen. He's never going to score. Sunderland are a good defense, blah, blah, blah. Yes and no. I think depending on how Chelsea's set up, I think Joao Pedro could improve. We've got a better fixture this week in this fixture against Sunderland. I think Joao Pedro will either have the support of Enzo, well, he will have the support of Enzo, or potentially he might even play behind a different striker this week and play more of a 10 position, which could, again, allow him to maybe thrive a little bit more in a slightly more natural position to him. So I think there are going to be some ways in which Joao Pedro could thrive in this Sunderland fixture. But I do want to address the idea that Sunderland are a good defence, because first of all, I do think Sunderland are a strong-ish defence. We saw already on the projected market, projected goals from the markets. We saw 2.08 projected goals for Chelsea, the most of any team in Gameweek 9. But why is that? And the answer really is that Sunderland aren't actually that good defensively away from home. So at home, they've been putting up pretty good defensive numbers, comfortably mid-table numbers, which is, it's not elite, but it is very, very strong. It is very solid for a newly promoted team, and we love that from an FPL perspective. However, away from home, and you can see on screen here, guys, Sunderland actually have the 4th worst non-penalty expected goals against in the entire Premier League for away fixtures. And they've not exactly had tough away fixtures. They've had what is it, like Burnley and Manchester United was the recent away fixture where they conceded twice. So yes, Sunderland, really poor underlying numbers here for their away form. Really poor is maybe harsh, but look, this is a team that can be got at when you are playing on your home turf, and that is exactly what Chelsea are doing this week. And I think that is something worth noting before just dismissing Sunderland as a tough game generally. I think we do need to make that distinction between home and away. So that's what we have got there. So let's look at the bench now, guys. Dubravka at Wolves looks great, but the rest of it is pretty bleak, to be honest. We've got Alderete, who has got a head injury. He is going to be off due to concussion protocol. He's not going to be available to play in Game Week 9, but he will be back in Game Week 10. We've got Richards away against Arsenal, and I'm not going to be backing any team against Arsenal right now, particularly away from home. And we've got Victor Gyökeres, who probably looks a bit strange on the bench, but that is all going to make more sense when I tell you what the transfers are, because Gyökeres is actually technically not in my squad anymore, because we've made 2 transfers and we will be making another 2. So let me tell you exactly what those transfers are, and then I'll talk about some of the reasons why we've gone for each of these players. So let's throw them on screen, guys. So I have downgraded Gyökeres to OB in order to upgrade Stack to Saka. I did that before price changes very early in the game week. I'm planning on moving Stack to Reinders went to Saka, Stack would go to Enzo, and finally we've got Romero to Malik Chow at Newcastle, who is a 0.3% selected player. I'm going to need to justify that one, I know. But first of all, let's talk about the double move of Gyökeres and Reinders out for Saka and Obi. And this is basically the reason. So first of all, Saka versus Gyökeres. I think we can probably all agree, even after the midweek game, yes, Gyökeres did score twice, but looking at the goals, they weren't exactly super elegant. And, I don't know how much he knew about the goals before they went in, to be honest. But look, it's great for him to get goals, and I think that will improve Gyökeres going forward. However, I did make this double transfer before that. Would I have made it had I known that information? Had I known that Gyökeres would finally break his duck, finally get some goals on the board? I'd maybe be less likely to make the double transfer, but I think I still probably would have, to be honest. And that's because I have so many free transfers. And what I'm looking to do with these free transfers is to set up for the long term. Had I had less free transfers, there's no way I would have made this move. But I did. So I thought, okay, who do I want long term? Who am I comfortable with long term? Gyökeres or Saka, and the answer is Saka. I also think Saka will be penalty taker now that Gyökeres has scored. I think previously Saka would have given the next penalty to Gyökeres to help him break his blanking streak, but now Gyökeres has scored in a different competition. Then I think Saka will take the next penalty now, probably. We never know for sure. We also see, Saka on set pieces. He has that access to the defensive contribution points, as we saw last week. He's going to have higher potential for bonus points, and also he is far more secure, nailed on in the long term, because we are obviously seeing with Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is ahead of schedule and actually could be back kind of by the end of the month, and getting some game time for Arsenal, which might reduce Gyökeres' minutes a little bit there. So it's really a long-term play here to go for Saka in the long term. And, I just thought, I have the free transfers now. I prefer Saka now. Why don't we just get ahead of the game, try and go against the crowd a little bit here, and just go for it and see what happens. A lot of people would have probably told me, Dan, you should have done this last week. You should have done it the week before. And that's, completely fair enough. But I didn't. I have done it now. And yeah, hopefully that can pay off. As for Obi, Chido Obi, why have I gone for him? 4.3 million. He's not going to play any games, so why? Basically because I wanted to restructure my team. I've been so impressed with the cheap defenders this season that I am happy for my defenders to be my bench options, my backup options for each game week. And I don't think I will ever reach needing a third substitute. I don't really see when that would happen, because I've used my bench boost now. That was played in game week 8. I don't need a full bench of players. So let's just find the cheapest possible forward at 4.3 million to throw in my squad and sit last on my bench every week. There are 2 other cheap options for forwards there. Some people going for Kruppi Jr., and I think that works if you need someone for Game Week 9. Because Kruppi Jr., I think he's got a good chance of starting in Game Week 9. After that, probably not going to be starting pretty much ever. Evan Nilsson's still very much the first choice striker when he's available. And Evan Nilsson's injury, we're looking at maybe a maximum of a further 2 weeks for his injury. So he's not going to be out long term. So Obi, really a pretty short term pick there. Obi. Kruppi Jr. are really a short-term pick. And so for the extra 0.2 million that Kruppi Jr. costs, doesn't really seem worth it. I don't need him for this week. I'm happy with my other players. I'm happy to save 0.2 million. That's going to come in really handy later down the line. The other 4.3 million forward is going to be Mark Gue. And I'm not going for Mark Gue purely because I want to keep my options open for Chelsea players. I want to have the opportunity to go for a third Chelsea player without being locked out by a 4.3 million forward who, again, maybe plays in Game Week 9, maybe, but is unlikely to play too much game time in the long term. And I do want to make sure I am long-term secure here. So, yes, Obi is the cheap forward that I have gone for those reasons. So that makes sense, hopefully, to you guys. Not everyone's going to like that double move. I do. It works for me. I'm happy with the structure. I want to go and spend more money in other areas of my pitch. And downgrading a forward, where I don't see too much value in a lot of the forwards right now, is going to be a way of doing that. The next transfer was stacked to Enzo, and I think that's a pretty straightforward one. That is a clear upgrade. We're going to see from Enzo, as we've seen so far this season, and we'll throw this on screen again, that Enzo has been really, really good in games in which Palmer has not been playing, because Enzo takes up a lot of Palmer's responsibilities, whether that be taking penalties sometimes, or taking some set pieces, or box crashing, or even playing in the 10, literally playing in Palmer's position in the 10. Don't know which position Enzo is going to be playing in, but what we can say is that he will be making regular runs into the box, taking shots, creating as well as the set piece stuff, which is really, really nice. And that's why his numbers have been so high in the games in which Palmer has not played. And we can kind of see through that, Brighton, a goal there when Palmer wasn't playing, when Palmer wasn't available against Fulham and West Ham earlier on in the season. In both of those games, Enzo got a goal and an assist in each of those. One of the goals was a penalty, but the underlying numbers really nice, backing that up as well. Even against Liverpool when he last played in the Premier League, really nice numbers, and he did score a penalty in the midweek as well for Chelsea against Ajax. So yeah, things look good for Enzo. Got subbed at half-time in the midweek fixture as well, which is really good for a nice rest ahead of Game Week 9, where we expect him to comfortably play 80 minutes in at this game. So we're very happy about that. The fixtures are brilliant going forward. We mentioned Sunderland at home is actually a good fixture. So lots to like, lots to love with Enzo. We like it. Now, Let's finally talk about the elephant in the room, the final player that I've transferred in this week, and that is Malik Chow. Yeah, you must be thinking this is a really random transfer, and fair enough, I am going to try and justify it because, believe me, guys, out of all of the FPL decisions I've had to make this week, and 4 transfers, that is a lot of FPL decisions. 90% of the time spent making all 4 decisions was solely dedicated to this one because it was not easy. So I'm going to talk you through my thought process and how I arrived at this conclusion. And we're going to use some Fantasy Football Hub tools to do this because that's what I did. This is what I used. This is my process basically. Of course, guys, if you haven't checked out Fantasy Football Hub, you want to get a discount on your subscription and access to all the members tools. I would recommend it, guys. And there is a link in the description for you to go ahead and do so. But let's talk about how I did this. So first things first, fixtures. When looking at defenders, I want to have players with nice fixtures and particularly players who have good fixtures in the right moments. I know because of my Alderete situation, because of Richards playing against Arsenal, I need a player who has a good fixture in game week 9, but also who is going to be very useful in the longer term as well. This position is not a position I am planning on using loads of transfers on, hopefully. So therefore, I set the parameters to 8 weeks and had a look. Okay, let's look here, guys. Let's look at the fixtures. Who has nice fixtures over the next 8 game weeks, including a good fixture in game week 9? And this is what I came back with. This is the Hub fixture ticker with the fixtures ordered. So we have Arsenal at the top here. Obviously, really, really nice. We've got our triple Arsenal already. We've got Fulham next in second place here. We'll kind of joint with third and fourth here. So Fulham look really good, but they face Newcastle away in 9. So they actually have a poor fixture, and we do know that Fulham are missing the one defender that you would probably want to pick up from them in Joachim Andersen. So I can't get Andersen right now. He is unavailable, and the fixture in 9 isn't great. That's not going to work for me. So then we come to Newcastle and Chelsea, and I think this is where we're looking really. If you want good fixtures over the next 8, including a good fixture in 9, you're looking at Newcastle, you're looking at Chelsea, assuming you already have your Arsenal players covered. So who do we go for? Do we go for a Newcastle defender or a Chelsea defender? Both have amazing fixtures in this, but Chelsea more immediately. So Chelsea have these good fixtures immediately. Newcastle maybe slightly more of a slow burner. They do have plenty of great fixtures, really, for the next 10 to 15 game weeks, really. It's really quite long term for them. But both of them have good fixtures. That's the point, really, here. So I'll be happy to pick from either of these teams because, again, I'm looking for something a little longer term. So where do we go next? Well, this is where we go, guys. We have a look and see what the best defenses are so far in the Premier League. And you guys probably already knew this, but Newcastle have been one of the top defenses so far. They, like Arsenal, have kept 5 clean sheets in 8 Premier League games. So really impressive stuff here. And only Arsenal are putting up better non-penalty expected goals against numbers. Both Arsenal and Newcastle head and shoulders above their rivals in the Premier League when it comes to defensive performances. And what's been particularly impressive with both Arsenal and Newcastle, they've both done this in pretty tough fixtures too. So looking down the list, we're looking for Chelsea now. It's not such great reading for Chelsea. And fair enough, they have had some red cards. They have had some players missing. So I don't want to judge Chelsea too much or write them off entirely. But the numbers aren't great. 12.6 non-penalty expected goals against so far this season, putting them third bottom in the Premier League on this metric. That's not great. Even though they've only conceded 9 goals, 2 more than Newcastle, the underlying numbers do suggest that Newcastle should be in line for some more clean sheets going forward, particularly as Newcastle are set to face actually some slightly weaker finishers. So should be even more clean sheets going forward. So if we're saying Newcastle and Chelsea have similar qualities of fixtures, then maybe Newcastle are the team to go for. Maybe. But we need to find a Newcastle player that we like. So let's go next and have a look at the Newcastle defenders. So right now, the 4 Newcastle players that are available to us right now are Malik Chow, Kieran Trippier, Botman here, of course, and Burn. So these are the 4 starting Newcastle defenders at the moment. Obviously, people will throw in Nick Pope, obviously a great pick, but I'm not looking to make a goalkeeper transfer. I'm looking for a defender. So Livramento is injured. He's going to be out for some time. Lewis Hall is out at the moment, but he will be back in a few weeks, maybe even less than that. So where do we go? Who's at rotation risk? Who is going to be playing long term? What is the situation here? So before we look at... Shall we look at the numbers first? Let's look at the numbers first. So, expected goal involvement. Malik Chow is number one. He takes 1.24 shots per 90. That is way more than Botman, Burn, and, Trippier actually hasn't taken a shot yet this season. A little bit of key pass there as well, but we're really looking at that XG. And at 0.17 per 90, that is really nice numbers. And a lot of that is to do with the fact he is just a giant. He's 6'4", he has the aerial threat, he is a set-piece target man, more so than, Burn, who despite his size is actually consistently underwhelming when it comes to attacking contributions. So if we're looking for a defender who is most likely to score from Newcastle, it's Malik Chow. His shooting numbers are head and shoulders above anyone else here. What do we look at next? Maybe do we look at the... Let's look at the come on. We're looking at the defensive contributions. I know that's what everyone's thinking. So, yeah, who is number one? Who has the most C-bits per 90 of the Newcastle defenders? Well, the answer once again is Malik Chow, 8.93. That is ahead of Botman at 8.79, ahead of Burn, who is at 8.5. And we do expect Burn to actually drop off even more than that. Now he is currently playing at left back. We might see Burn drop even further there. But Malik Chow is actually the guy who is making the most defensive contributions right now. And maybe that is something to do with the fixtures he's played. Because if we go back and look at the bonus points, and this is the last thing I wanted to have a look at, yes, his BPS per 90 is better than Burn, despite Burn actually already having an attacking return this season, which is crazy. And I think more clean sheets as well. Malik Chow still has better BPS than Burn, but he doesn't have better BPS, so bonus point potential, basically, than Trippier or Botman. He actually has worse. So is that something to be worried about? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact that Chow has got less bonus points, less actual points, and slightly more defensive contributions could be due to the fact that he has faced more difficult opponents in the games he has played, and he wasn't starting from the start of the season. Chow, he was at first in and out of the team. Now he is actually a player who is playing regularly, but previously he missed a couple of the easier games. Is that a reason why we're seeing these numbers lay out like this? Is it just incidental? Maybe. But we can only really work with what we've got. And what we've got is, it looks on paper like Chow is actually going to be the best defender. And the next question is rotation risk. What is the situation there? Well, we are seeing right now Newcastle play with two at the back, two centre-backs. A left-sided centre-back and a right-sided centre-back. There are two left-sided centre-backs, left-footed, players who play at left centre-back only are Botman and Burn. These are the only two players who can play in that position. Right now, there's no natural left-back, so Burn is filling in at left-back. After that, Burn and Botman are either going to be competing for that left centre-back position, or they're going to move to a 5 at the back formation. Now, a lot of people are Newcastle fans are suggesting that Burn is the player who is going to drop out. I know, a lot of Burn owners are not going to like to hear that, but I'm just reporting what I've been told from Newcastle fans, that the long-term plan is, whilst Botman is available, and by the way, Botman doesn't have a great injury record, Botman is the left centre-back. If everyone's available, Botman plays left centre-back and Burn probably drops out. But, Burn always seems to find a way of playing. So who knows what's going to happen in that situation. The right centre-back situation is a little bit more interesting. So Malik Chow has been in incredible form. And even though Fabian Schär has been available for the last 4 Newcastle games, every one of those games Chow has played, even though Schär was available, and Schär has been on the bench every single one of these 4 games. So yeah, it looks like Chow is the first choice right centre-back. The only competition in that position for him is going to be Schär. So really, a lot of things are pointing towards him being the best defender for me to pick up, or really for anyone to pick up outside of the Arsenal defenders for Game Week 9. And hopefully, guys, that has maybe gone some ways into convincing you that this 0.3% owned, 4.9 million super differential defender could actually be quite good. I appreciate I spent a little while talking about that one, but I felt like I needed to justify it just a little bit. In terms of captains, guys, we're going to go for a Haaland captain, of course. We're going to throw the vice captain on Semenyo. And from here, I do want to talk about a future transfer move that I'm planning as well. We've got one more free transfer. I am going to roll it this week. but I think I already know what I'm going to do with it in game week 10, and maybe even how I'm going to use both of my transfers in game week 10. And let me tell you. So I do want to do a quick play-by-play here. We're on the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool. Again, a reminder, guys, if you like the look of all of these tools, including this one, for your own teams to have a little go on them to try and sort out your teams, then please do check out the link in the description. But we've got a Game Week 9 team. We're happy with that. Everything looks great. Everything looks amazing. We moved to Game Week 10, and this is where I'm thinking about maybe making use of those 2 free transfers. And I basically have 2 options, really. The first of which, having that 0.2 million in the bank basically frees me up to trade Joao Pedro to Mateta. So Mateta this week has that tricky fixture against Arsenal, but from game week 10, we've got Brentford at home, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Man United at home, Burnley away. Pretty nice fixtures for Crystal Palace. So he is a player I am definitely looking to bring in. And if Joao Pedro disappoints again in game week 9, it's going to be a very easy decision to make to switch to Mateta. But what we could also do with that other free transfer is actually look to make a midfield switch for maybe a different kind of Crystal Palace player. And that is going to be Ismail Assar. So again, from game week 10, we could switch out Kudus if I'm still unhappy with him to Sarr. I don't know if I'll do both of these switches, to be honest with you guys, but I just wanted to, show you what that might look like. And how my team could really genuinely look brilliant for game week 10. Does feel a little bit like overkill on that Crystal Palace there, a little bit maybe. But yeah, maybe. We'll see. These are just ideas. But that really makes my team look really strong for quite some time. We're going to have a really strong team every single game week with good fixtures, with really important players for their teams, pivotal players, lots of talismans, lots of penalty takers. It's going to be really, really nice going forward. And I think that's why my team is rated 99%. So yeah, really happy with that, how my team is looking going forward. And yeah, I think we're along the right lines with the transfers we've already made and the transfers that we're kind of thinking about and planning for into the future as well. So feel free to check out this tool, guys, if you want to. Like I say, link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like. Do subscribe if you're new around here. We'll be back tomorrow for a bumper deadline stream. And if you are a member of the channel, we'll be rating your teams this evening in a stream as well. But aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching once again. And I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.